Yo, what's up? Today we're going to take 3 simple steel mace exercises and show you how you can put together 4 different workouts. Let's go. So the very first exercise we're going to do is what's called a lap squat. So we're going to take the steel mace, we're going to bring it in this position here. We're going to have an underhand position closest to the head of the steel mace, overhand position away from the head of the steel mace. From here, we're going to pull back towards our belly button. We're going to keep it in this nice position here, right above the belly button. We're just going to go into a squat. So nice and easy. Whatever depth of the squat you can do. Doesn't matter how deep, just go as deep as you can go. So we're just pulling apart on the mace, keeping it nice and stable, and then we're going to drop down into our squat and back up. We're just being careful not to allow the mace to float out in front of us. We want to keep it tight in there next to the abdomen, so that we keep the back engaged, okay? So we're keeping the upper back engaged as we go into our squat. So nice and easy squat. So that's our first exercise. Our second exercise is going to be a lateral lunge. So for the lateral lunge, what we're going to do is we're going to allow our hand to slide up the mace as we move away from the head of the mace. So it's going to look like this. We're going to step out to the side. We're going to begin to drop the mace down in between our midline. And then we're going to slide the hand up to the top of the mace as we do this lateral sort of lunge. We're going to step back, allowing the hand to slide back to the position that we started at. So that's our second exercise. Our third exercise is going to be a ballistic curl. So the ballistic curl looks like this. We're going to come up into top position. We're going to open the hand, slide the other hand up, and then bring the other hand to the other side. That's the first part of our hand switch. But we're going to allow that hand to drop down so that we get into full extension of the arm. So as we speed that up, we're going to make it look like this. So it's a ballistic curl, switching from one side to the other side. Okay, so just allowing that load to catch at the top and extend down. So we're really focused on lowering that weight under control. So that's mainly going to focus on the eccentric loading of that tissue of the bicep as we come down. You're going to get a ballistic kind of accelerated force to go up into that prayer position and then switch back down. That leads me to my last and final thing that you have to understand. Later on, we're going to need a hand switch, and we're going to utilize that prayer position to create that hand switch. So our ballistic curl is going to give us one of the tools that we need at the later point in this video. All right, so the very first workout you're going to do is for reps. It's the traditional way in which we usually train. We put our exercises into a set and rep scheme. Super simple. So pick a number. Decide what it is you want to do. Pick a number of reps, pick a number of sets. Pick your rest time. Very simple. So I'm going to pick 10 reps, for example. Bring this across into this position here. We're going to start with our lap squat. 10 reps. 1, easy. 2, simple. 3, 4. So we're keeping that structure through the movement, pulling apart on the mace, keeping it pulled back towards our midsection. I think that's 7, 8. I stopped counting. 9, I couldn't talk and count at the same time, and 10, okay? So you'll do 10 reps on one side and then switch to doing 10 reps on the opposite side. Next, you'll do your lateral lunge. So same thing. Lateral lunge, we'll step out to the side, lunge, back up to center. Lunge, back up to center. One of the key points of this is as you go into that lateral lunge and you slide the hand up towards the top, you want to actually give it a little pull. So you're pulling at the top in order to offset some of that load at the bottom and put some of that weight into the upper part of the upper back in that movement. So you're getting that pull back on this top shoulder, which is going to take some of the load off of this side and this element. So 10 reps to that side, and then you'll do 10 reps to the opposite side. Same thing for your ballistic curl. Decide on 10 reps. You can do 10 total reps, or you can do 10 total reps per side. So going like this would be 1, 1, and 2, and 3. Okay, so very simple set and rep scheme. Everybody's used to doing that sort of setup. We'll move on to the next workout you can do with those 3 exercises. So the second workout you can do with those 3 exercises is a time scheme. So you can do a kind of interval training time scheme where you pick a time frame that you want to go for, you want to be active for, and then the time frame that you want to rest for. So I'll just pick it nice and simple, easy number, 30 seconds on and 30 seconds off. So equal rest to equal work, or equal time working, equal to equal time resting. Now, depending on what you're trying to achieve, you may want to increase or decrease that rest period and decide if you're going to increase that rest period. Maybe you make it an active rest where you do something different or you do some mobility work in between the actual working sets. Okay, so for 30 seconds on, we're just going to set a timer for 30 seconds and we'll start with our squat. So squat for 30 seconds. Okay, nice and easy. It's a simple way to get yourself going and get your heart rate up as you're doing as many reps as you can within that 30-second time period. Same thing with your lateral lunge. We'll set a timer, we'll go into the lateral lunge. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate doing that for each of these exercises. What I'm going to demonstrate though is adding a hand switch so that you can now kind of combine your left and right and you don't have to do as many sets total. So we're going to add that hand switch. Remember we had the ballistic curl, right, where we came all the way down. Well, now we're going to stop that curl right here, right? So prayer position, stop right here. Prayer position, stop right here. If you haven't done any of these hand switches before, I suggest practicing those, and you can go through them slowly. You don't have to do them as fast as I'm doing them. I've been doing this for years, at least 10 to 15 years now. I've been doing this. So for me, just the hand switch is a nice and easy, like riding a bicycle for me. So if you're not familiar with doing the hand switch, just work on nice and easy hand switch, slow and easy. That's how I teach my clients to do it. I just have them learn the basics first, get the movement going, and then I add it to the movement we're going to do. So if you want to set the timer for say 30 seconds and you want to add that hand switch so that you can switch from side to side and you don't have to do right side, left side, you can do it that way. So we'll do 30 seconds, switch. So notice I'm switching at the top and then I'm squatting. If you're more accustomed to doing this and you've done it more often, you will now kind of start to learn to kind of go in sequence. Okay, so your hand switch is happening as you're actually moving from one side to the other. Now, the third or the next thing we'll do is the lateral lunge. So for the lateral lunge, it's the same thing. You're stepping out to the side, switching at the top, switching through the top, and going from side to side. Now you'll note that as you're being more dynamic and you're moving from one side to the other side, what you'll find is that you're spending very little time at those end ranges. So that pull is not going to be as emphasized at the top as you're pulling back. It's just going to be a short boom, right out and going into the next direction. But that element is still there. Notice when we do something with the emphasis of doing sets and reps, we can spend more time focused on consolidating and strengthening that specific thing. As we start to become more dynamic and we move more into exercises where we're going to be moving through, we spend less time at those end ranges. It's just like any other exercise, a squat, lunge, whatever. You spend less time at your end range as you're basically moving in and out. As you do more of a set and rep scheme type of movement, you can take the time and spend more time emphasizing and working on that strength component and spending time in that end range, a little bit more time in that end range than you would normally. The third workout we'll do is larger intervals, right? So we'll take these 3 exercises that we've done and we'll combine them together in kind of a continuous circuit, and then we'll use a 2-minute, 3-minute, or maybe even a 4-minute time block, and we'll work for that period of time, whatever we have the endurance for. So it's kind of a short endurance effort, and then we'll take an equal amount of break time. So whatever you decide the work time is going to be, I want you to take an equal amount of break time. In that break time, I want you to do active rest. So whatever it is you do for mobility work, whether it's shoulder cars, hip cars, whatever it is that you want to do. If you don't know what shoulder cars or hip cars are, check out some of the videos in my playlists and you'll be able to find those there. But what we'll do is we'll combine these movements. So we have our hand switch, which then gives us the opportunity to connect all of these movements together. So it'll look like this. We'll start with our squat. We'll switch, squat, switch, lunge, switch, lunge, switch, ballistic squat, lunge, ballistic bicep curl, back into our squat, squat, lateral lunge, ballistic, ballistic, and you'll just continuously go for whatever the time preference you have. So if your endurance and stamina is not quite there yet, you can start with 1 minute. You can work your way up to 90 seconds. Then you can work your way up to 2 minutes. So take it on a weekly basis. Start building your endurance and your capacity over time. So maybe you start with 1 minute reps. Say you want to do 10 minutes of total work. You do 1 minute of this sequence, take 1 minute off. 1 minute of the sequence, 1 minute off. Okay, let's say you want to do 90 seconds. Do 90 seconds on, 90 seconds off, right? Now we're building out our total time that we're doing the workout. So the first time preference, you're just trying to get 10 minutes of actual work. So you've done 1 minute on, 1 minute off. The total amount of time that you've actually been exercising or that you've been in your workout is 20 minutes, but you've done 10 minutes in that working set. Now you move to 90 seconds. Now you've changed the amount of work time. You move to 22 minutes. Now you've doubled the amount of total workout time. So you've gone from 20 minutes to 40 minutes, but now you have 20 minutes of actual work, right? So now as we start to move on and we want to build up to, they say, 4 or 5 minutes, we can now think about 4 minutes on, 4 minutes off. If we're doing 4 rounds of that, we're going to get 16 minutes of total work and then 16 minutes of rest. So now we're just building not only our time duration of actual work time, but we're building in our actual circuit time, or we're building in our actual work time into a more endurance-based segment or interval. The final workout that we're going to do with that is a full-on endurance effort. So I wouldn't recommend doing this until you've done those longer intervals where you've worked on 4 minutes, off 4 minutes, and then maybe you've shortened the rest time between them. So you've done 4 minutes and maybe you do a 3-minute rest, or you do 4 minutes and maybe you do a 2-minute rest, and you work your way down to 4 minutes and 1 minute rest, right? Then you say, okay, well, now I want to do a full endurance effort where I go continuously for a set amount of time. So let's say you've done these working sets where you've done 4 minutes on, 4 minutes off, 4 minutes on, 4 minutes off, and you've done a total of 16 total work minutes. Let's say you want to now do an endurance effort of 10 minutes to 16 minutes of total time, working your way up to 20 minutes of actual working time. Well, let's start with the 10 minutes, right? You've been working sets at these 4 or 5 minute, intervals on and off. You've shortened your rest periods in between over a course of a few weeks or whatever the case is. And then you decide, okay, well, now I want to start to do a full block, a full chunk. Let's do 10 minutes. So you start with 10 minutes, start with low amount, 10 minutes on, and then, you go straight through, and then you add something on the front and the back of that. So you add a warm-up, sort of preparation, movement preparation, your mobility work, your cars, all those things on the front end, and the end, you add in a finisher sort of cool down to it. So your working set of this is going to be the same as you did with the short sets. You're just expanding it out. So it's the same situation. We're going squat, switch, lateral lunge, switch, lateral lunge, switch, ballistic bicep curl, and then back into your squat, your lap squat, switch lateral lunge. Okay? So hopefully that gives you an idea of how you can take 3 simple exercises and make 4 separate workouts And that gives you so much variety and just so little. You know, everybody makes working out and strength training and all these sorts of things so complicated, but it's really, really simple. And you don't have to have all these different movements and all these different things that you want to do. You can just pick a few movements that kind of target a variety of things and keep your full body moving. And you can set it up in such a way that you either go for sets and reps, you go for short time intervals, you go for longer time intervals, or you go for endurance sets. Those are the basics and the fundamentals of strength training in general. Strength, sets and reps, interval training, circuit training, endurance. Those are the simple things that we're trying to encourage or we're trying to teach our body. And if we can give ourselves the variety of inputs with the same actual exercises, we don't have to think so hard about our training, and we don't necessarily even need to go to the gym, as long as you've got a simple tool that can get the job done. Hopefully you like this video. Make sure to check out some of my other videos on steel mace training, mobility training, and all that sort of stuff. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'm out.